We start the day's other headlines with the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. President Biden has ordered 1,000 active duty troops to the region to help with aid efforts. The announcement came just hours before his visit to the Carolinas today to survey the devastation left behind by the storm. Biden touched down in Greenville, South Carolina, and then from a helicopter got a bird's-eye view of the storm-battered region. Later, in Raleigh, North Carolina, he committed to covering 100% of all costs related to debris removal in the state for 6 months.
The damage is still being assessed, and many people are still unaccounted for. So I'm here to say the United States, the nation, has your back. The nation has your back. We're not leaving your back on your feet completely.
Residents in North Carolina are still navigating knee-deep muck, crumbled roadways, and little to no cell phone signal. More than 180 people have died across the southeastern U.S. Before heading to the Carolinas, President Biden also addressed the dock workers' strike, likening it to a potential man-made disaster on top of the storm. Mr. Biden was highly critical of the port owners, saying they should not profit from the ongoing walkout, adding that, quote, it's time for them to sit at the table and to get the strike done. Roughly 45,000 dock workers walked off the job this week at dozens of ports from Texas to Maine. They're calling for higher pay and guarantees that their jobs won't become automated. There are currently no negotiations scheduled between the two sides. In Denmark, police have detained 3 young Swedish nationals in connection with 2 explosions near the Israeli embassy in Copenhagen this morning. Investigators say no one was injured by the pre-dawn blasts, which were likely caused by hand grenades. They went off about 100 yards from the embassy, although it's not clear if that was the target. A Jewish school in the vicinity closed for the day, and Copenhagen's main synagogue stepped up security for the Jewish New Year, which starts tonight. Turning now to Ukraine, where the fall of a frontline town has given Russia a vital battlefield victory. Ukraine's military said today it will retreat from Volodar in the east after holding the town for more than 2 years of fierce fighting. Its high elevation and access to rail lines make it a strategic hub for the region. Russia had been bombing the site for months, and a spokesman for Ukraine's military command said troops on the ground had been nearly surrounded by Russian forces.
After sustaining many losses in long-lasting battles, a threat of besiegement arose. Senior command granted permission to carry out a maneuver to withdraw units from Volodar in order to preserve personnel and military equipment and take positions for further actions.
This latest setback for Ukraine comes amid repeated pleas by President Volodymyr Zelensky for permission to use Western-supplied weapons to strike targets deep inside Russian territory. The U.S. and others have so far denied those requests. The CIA is trying to make it easier for potential informants to share tips, especially in places like North Korea, Iran, and China. The agency rolled out an online drive today with instructions in Korean, Farsi, and Mandarin on ways people can contact U.S. intelligence officials without putting themselves in danger. That includes using virtual private networks or VPNs and private web browsers. The CIA posted similar instructions in Russia 2 years ago after the Ukraine invasion. In a statement, the agency said it wants to expand on those efforts, quote, to make sure individuals in other authoritarian regimes know that we're open for business. Closing arguments began today in the federal trial of 3 former Memphis police officers charged with violating the civil rights of Tyree Nichols. Prosecutor Catherine Gilbert told jurors that the officers involved wanted a, quote, beatdown after the 29-year-old ran from police after a traffic stop last year. A lawyer for one of the officers insisted that, quote, the force was not excessive. Nichols later died from traumatic brain injuries. Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith did not testify at the trial. The 2 other officers who were involved have pleaded guilty and testified for the prosecution. On Wall Street today, the major markets ended virtually unchanged amid ongoing worries about the situation in the Middle East. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added about 40 points on the day. The Nasdaq rose nearly 15 points, so a small gain there. The S&P 500 ended the day virtually flat. And voting has begun in one of the most hotly contested elections of the season. We're talking, of course, about Fat Bear Week. It's an online contest pitting 12 chunky bears in a March Madness-style bracket to decide which one has put on the most weight ahead of the hibernating season. This is the 10th annual Fat Bear Week, which is meant to celebrate Alaska's brown bears. Last year, more than 1.3 million votes were cast. Voting runs through October 8th. Still to come on the NewsHour. As Generation Z overtakes the number of baby boomers in the workforce, we examine changing perspectives on jobs. Members of the U.S. Postal Service sound the alarm about a lack of preparedness for the election. And the authors of a new book on Elon Musk's control of Twitter discuss his controversial impact on the platform.
This is the PBS NewsHour from the David M. Rubenstein Studio at WETA in Washington and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.